Hi! So today we are going to do a little bit of our soil research, but before we get started, I want to share with you guys my fancy smancy, not very fancy garden. That's Archie. Say hi, Archie. Oh, he does want to say hi. Anyways, we planted a garden. As you can hopefully see, it's kind of hard to do this on my computer, but anyways, these are all kinds of peppers. This is cucumbers and either squash or zucchini. That's zucchini squash. These are different types of tomatoes. Those are jalapenos, cilantro. Those are Japanese eggplants, and then these are regular squash. Anyways, I wanted to share that with you guys. Now, moving on, hopefully you can see what we're doing here. Super fancy setup. Anyways, this lighting is not going to work for me. We are going to talk today about the 5 different types of soil that you guys are going to be learning about. So first I want to show you the different soils, and then we'll kind of like talk about them a little bit. So the first one is going to be gravel. I know, super interesting. If you touch it, it's large particles, really rough. Let's see here. Anyways, you've all kind of seen gravel before. Then we have sand. This is the loose, feathery, gritty sand right here. I will show you, like the beach. Then we have silt, which is like the normal topsoil, sort of, you know. These are going to be small particles, but it's not gritty like sand is. These can support life. Then we have clay. You guys should know what clay is, that red, thick, chunky clay. When it's dry, couldn't find dry because it's been raining like crazy. Whenever it's dry, these have the smallest particles, and that's why it like flies in your eyeball all the time. Speaking of, I have some in my eyeball now. And then this is the closest I could find to loam. This is actually the soil that I use to plant my garden. Archie, come here. What are you doing? He's trying to run away. Let's see if he wants to be in our video. This is Archie, my nephew. Hi. Anyway, so we have kind of like looked at the different types of soil. Sand is back here hiding. So you should be able to see all of them. And we are going to do a little experiment where we pour water in them, and you can see how water either passes through it or doesn't. So we will get started with that. I'm going to let Archie go back to wandering around and peeing on everything. Okay. Could not find any more of these. However, this is what we're going to use. I have cups and they have holes in them, and we are going to put the different types of soil into the cups and then pour water over them and see how the soil runs through them, okay? If we were in school and I was super organized, we would have enough sets of all of them, and we would measure how much of the soil we use, how much water we put in, and then at the bottom we would measure how much comes out. However, I just don't have the setup. So, hi Jagger. I'm actually filming, so let me film real quick and then we can hang out, okay? It's not the time. Love you.
Can I dig that hole?
No, thank you. Okay, so the first one we are going to do is gravel. So I'm going to pour some of the gravel in here. Hopefully. Like such. All I did was just pour it in there. Jagger, go. Thank you. There we go.
Why can't I dig this hole?
And hold on just a second. Okay, now we have Jagger squared away. I have the gravel poured into the cups. There are holes in the cups, and we are simply going to pour water into the cups and see what happens. I'm gonna hold it here. So I'm gonna pour my water. As you can see, the water is draining out of the bottom, and if we were measuring how much of the water that we put in do you think comes out? The correct answer is all of it. With gravel, it does not hold water. Eventually it would all drain out of the bottom. Okay, so there is our gravel. Let's set this right there. And gravel does not hold nutrients, therefore it cannot sustain life. So usually this is not at all what you're going to see plants growing out of, or what you would use to plant a garden. Next we have sand. I'm gonna pour some sand in here. La la la. Okay. Now we have sand. I'm going to pour water through. What do we think would happen? Oh, that's ewy. Wow! Alright, so what's interesting is not only did all of the water pass through it, but it made the sand wash out as well. So it doesn't hold water, and it's also super mobile, and it's easily eroded. So that is our sand. Doesn't hold any water, also doesn't hold up very well itself. The next one we're gonna do, let me pour my gravel out. Super official. We are going to move on to the silt. Remember, that's kind of like the regular topsoil that we see a lot. Not necessarily clay, but somewhere in between clay and sand is where I would put it. Let's see here. Alright, so we have our silt in our cup. I am going to grab another water container, pour these over. Okay. Alright, so as you can see, some of the water is staying, and it's just kind of like slowly dripping out, as you can see. And over time, more will like slowly pass through, but it does hold the water better than any of them that we've seen so far. So that is interesting. I'm going to set it over here, and we'll check back on it. I'm going to dump our sand, what is a little bit that is left. Let me rinse it out. Okay. Empty container. We're going to put our clay in there next. Remember, clay is that chunky stuff that sticks together when it's wet, but when it's dry, it is typically like very small particles. It gets in your eyeballs. But clay is what we see a lot of around here. That red dirt that you see. It doesn't always have to be red, sometimes it's black. Or yellow. Let's see here. So let's get our clay in and our water. As you'll see, the clay is a steel trap. None of the water comes out. It actually holds it. That's why it gets all chunky like we're used to, because it holds onto water like this. So, clay holds the water. Let's see how much water it can hold. Wowzers. So, there's our clay. No water comes out. Set him right here. Alright, as you can see, we've come back to our silt. A lot of the water is drained out. However, there's still some in here, but it's just slowly dripping through. So it's not ideal, but it's not the worst. So plants can live in this. It's just not our favorite, okay? I'm going to empty this. Still dripping. I wish I had enough containers so y'all could compare them all. and we could do the full experiment. Maybe 4th graders, maybe next year we can do that when you're in 5th grade. When we get back to school, or maybe you guys can do it in your videos. And then the last one I'm going to use is this loam. And what we like to say about loam is that it's a combination of sand, silt, and clay, and it's the best of the best. So it's perfect for plants. It's just good at holding just the right amount of water, but it allows the water to drain through, and it holds onto nutrients well. So with plants, you don't want them sitting in water. You want it to be able to drain through, but you also want it to be able to hold as well. So as you can see, the water drains through, but it's also holding onto some. Anyways, so it's fluffy, there's a lot of air in it, and it's going to hold on to nutrients, but it also allows the water to pass through it pretty well. So your takeaway is I want you to recognize the textures and the way that they look, the different types of soil, and then also the different ways that they hold on to water. So your challenge is you are going to create your own video setup of this experiment. I want you to go out and find the 5 different types of clay or soils that we are learning about, and I want you to create your own walkthrough like I have done, and I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm excited to see what you guys do. I miss you and I love you.